You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Upland Brits, BPro Kennels, Final Rise, and Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Big thanks to our title sponsor, BPro Kennels. BPro Kennels is a small business creating ultra high quality and custom dog boxes for the gun dog owner like you and I. No matter how big your string of dogs, BPro Kennels will make sure you have a box that fits your needs for you and your gun dogs. With an innovative storage design and built-in solar panel and battery bank for quick access to charging accessories like dog collars, lights, fans, you name it. This is a dog box unlike anything you've seen before. Check them out at bprokennels.com. Oh, and they're made right here in the USA. And this is presented by Inukshuk Professional Dog Food, the world's highest energy dog food, period. Inukshuk's dense formulations ensure your pup in training and your seasoned bird dog get what they need to succeed in the field. High protein for muscle recovery and retention, high fat for quick access to much needed energy. Inukshuk works hard so your dogs can work harder. Check them out at inukshukpro.com. This podcast is also presented to you by Final Rise. All good things start with a solid foundation. At Final Rise, all three of their premium Upland vests are built around the foundational waist belt to provide you all-day comfort and endless customization. With a secure waist belt and thin, high-quality shoulder harness, this is the vest you can load down with birds and walk all day in. Final Rise is creating high-functioning upland gear that delivers comfort, balance, and a lifetime of memories. Check them out at finalrise.com. And this podcast is sponsored by Trinity Bretons, home of the Epagneul Breton, also known as the French Brittany. All Trinity Breton dogs are from champion bloodlines that are field-tested and family-approved. For over 33 years, Trinity Bretons has worked to offer you the best-bred Epagneul Breton in the country. Trinity offers puppies, the Trinity Upland Academy with George Hickox, starter dogs, stud services, and a whole lot more. Check them out at trinitybretons.com. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Upland Rookie Podcast. I'm your host, Will Larson, and it is good to be back with you guys today. I'm sorry this episode is a little bit late in the week, getting out to y'all. We've just been stupid busy around my house. Obviously the new baby, kids back in sports, school, the wife just started back at work. My work is just bananas right now, and it's just been a little hectic around the Larson household. So you do what you gotta do. It is what it is, and so we are back with you today, releasing this on a Thursday. I don't know if I've ever released a Thursday episode, but we're going for it. So anyways, guys, I'm going to make this intro kind of short. Just a couple quick housekeeping items. The Patreon fall giveaway for September. I contacted a winner of the September giveaway. I'm giving him a couple more days to get back to me. I'm going to give him till Friday to get back to me. If this person I drew does not get back to me, I'm going to redraw the September winner, and I'll contact you on Patreon or Instagram. So keep an eye out for that. If the winner does not get back to me in the next 24 hours. So I've emailed them, sent them a message on Patreon. So we're gonna show some grace and give one more day until Friday, and then whoa, I almost dropped my pen in my coffee. And then we'll redraw if I don't hear back. So prizes up for grabs still are the Gunner Fan Kit 2.0, which is their brand new fan kit. You can attach it to any kennel, really. It works really nice on a Gunner, obviously, but it also attaches to a Rufflin, pretty much anything you have. It's going to work really, really well. And then the other prize is going to be a Cable Gang's tie-out system, either a 2-dog system with ground stakes or a 4-dog system without ground stakes. So you got some options of sweet prizes still up for grabs, and then we also have the month of October. So we got some cool stuff happening there. Sign up for as little as $5 a month.
yeah, I love it though. I love road trips. I love the longer the better. So yeah, 8 hours is right about the start, right about the point where you really start to get comfortable and your legs are numb. You can just go for another 10 hours. So
you're a rare breed.
Yeah. I
mean, it also helps. Like you told me yesterday, it's without kids in the car, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Daddy, I gotta go pee.
Yeah.
I gotta go pee.
And then they're just you kind of zone out, and then they're yelling at you, and you're like, wait, what did you just ask? Why is the sky blue?
It happens. Dude, try doing it with 8 people.
Yeah.
Or 7 even. We did it with Chicago last year for Christmas. And oh my gosh, it was.
That would be so
I mean,
rough,
between yourself, the wife, the kids, someone either has to eat, pee, poop, something.
Someone's touching someone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a little crazy. Did you bring your shotgun and Colorado license for some bluegrass?
I brought my shotgun just because by default it never leaves the truck during hunting season. But no license yet. So we'll have to plan a trip to come back out.
Absolutely.
And see if we can shoot some trees and.
Yeah. There you go. I definitely want to get out to Utah.
You should. It is
hunt
so
some bluegrass
fun.
out there, man.
Yeah.
I got the bug. Was it last weekend I was out there? Yeah, right before the baby was born. And dude, it was fun.
They're so fun.
Kind of addicting fun. I was only gonna go out one day. Then I came home. I was like, honey, you okay if I go out tomorrow? She's like, go for it. So I got 2 days in, and it was freaking awesome.
It's awesome because the terrain is so pretty and it's so cool and it's so rugged. There's something fun about hunting, pheasants or huns out in the prairie, but up in the high timber and the thick woods, and there's just something different about it.
It really
so
was.
fun.
You kind of feel like you have this little burst of energy afterwards, like you just did a workout.
Yeah.
I don't work out typically, so it felt like I was like, all right, got a workout in, got my dogs, ran, got some birds.
Yeah, I've exercised for the year, so we're good.
Yeah, exactly. My watch was going off like crazy. It's like, you completed.
Like, are you gonna die?
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly. Heart attack. Well, we'll have to make it happen, man, and get out there, see some new country. So
yeah, how was Nebraska? Was that
Nebraska
so hot?
It was so freaking hot, dude. It was. I was on the end of a couple of my morning walks. Like I was just waiting to get back to camp in the shade. Like I was just like, oh dear Lord,
But you camped, right? Like you didn't get like an Airbnb. You didn't.
No, I camped. So it was like there's no escaping the heat.
Yeah,
that was the tough part. Is like, okay, I'm in the heat all day long.
You're trying to find excuses to run to the gas station so you can be in the AC.
Well, it was so far removed though from the gas. So it was like 35, 40 minutes just to a gas station. That was like old school pumps and stuff. I'm like, do I want to do that?
Yeah.
Is it worth it? So it was rough. I mean, I found birds there each of the last several years, and it's been great. This year we didn't move a bird. We were there.
That's rough.
A day of scouting before season, and then that Thursday, Friday, and did a walk in the morning. A couple walks, ran wind, ran gauge, and just nothing, man. So it's, again, weather, bird numbers, all that good stuff. But so we're like, all right, we're going to readjust. We're going to make a new plan.
Yeah.
Came home later on Friday.
And you were just solo, right? Like you didn't have anyone with you?
Yeah, just solo. Met up with a buddy out there. We did a dove hunt one evening because it was too hot to run dogs. So, so it was good. It was an experience, but
that's hard.
It was fun. So definitely the highlight was getting after into the mountains when it was cooler. Like that alone was the best part. Like just being in cooler temps, the dogs weren't overheating. Like it was nice.
Did you take both Win and Gage?
And Mac.
How'd he do? Did he just kind of?
Oh, he was pointing birds left and right, man.
Was he really?
Blind retreat. No. No, he was good, man. He was a trooper. He learned how to just be in the car, be on the cable gang tie out system. Like, so it was kind of just acclimate him to the truck and camping life kind of stuff. Yeah. So
this is your new life. Get used to it.
Yeah, pretty much, honestly. Like this is you eat outside in the campground, you in the kennel for a little bit. So like those things were good for him. Like he learned how to
for sure
travel, I guess. Yeah. So
that's fun.
Didn't bark us out of the campground, which was nice. I was worried about that because he's got a little bit of a voice on him. So I was a little nervous. So
nothing is more frustrating than when dogs are barking when they shouldn't. You're like, shut up.
And like there's only the only way to get him to shut up is put him in the kennel. And that's, it's like I don't want to, but
right.
You're like I'm getting close. We're getting close to that point. Well, Ben, I'm super excited, man. We're going to dive in a lot more on BPro Kennels, the dog box you just dropped off in my driveway, which I'm very, very excited about.
Sweet.
But I want to get to know you a little bit more, talk about your hunting and kind of, we'll kind of back up a little bit. Like, did you grow up in a hunting family or what was your journey into upland hunting?
So hunting was definitely a part of our family. So my grandpa on my dad's side, he was a trapper for the government in southern Utah. So hunting is like a big part of our family, even though I think when my dad got older and got married, hunting was just so routine that it wasn't something that he like carved out time to go do because he did it so much with his dad growing up that it wasn't like... So like we did a lot of camping, we went on a lot of trips, we went to a lot of national parks and forests and stuff like that. And it wasn't until I was probably like 11 or so, I had a friend move into the neighborhood and their family were like total freaks about hunting. Like they would travel all over the West to go hunt big, mule deer and elk and bighorn sheep. And
Wow.
as a way to kind of just pass the time, they would go do pheasant hunts. And back when we were kids, pheasant hunting in Utah was still a little bit, there was still a really good population when we were kids. There was a lot of habitat that was still there. And so whenever I would sleep over at his house, they'd say, hey, we're going pheasant hunting tomorrow. So we did a lot of pheasant hunting with the Cleggs growing up. And then just as I got older, I kind of went back into the workforce and like got a job and started growing up. And then hunting kind of took a backseat, even though I still loved the outdoors. We were always camping, stuff like that. But it wasn't until really I was married that hunting started to take the forefront and become more of a passion and kind of reconnect with all that.
Sure. Yeah.
So the year that we got married, it was probably like 6-7 months before we got married. I took my wife up. We went and picked out our dog. That was our first short hair.
So you jumped in with a dog. You're like, hey, I'm going back into this. Like, we got the dog. We're going.
Yep. And it was kind of a double-edged sword because I wanted to go hunting, and I knew that if I had a dog, that would be kind of the reason to go hunting. And then the flip side to that was, if I want to go hunting, I need a dog.
Sure.
So it's kind of like
all roads lead to getting a dog.
Yes.
It's like pretty much how it ends.
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about any of these hunting breeds at the time. It was just, I remember seeing short hairs and not knowing at all what they were. And I had to do some research to kind of like figure out what those dogs were that I had seen when I was growing up. And it was more or less just like I really liked how they looked. I liked their style. I liked, when they would go on point. I liked all that stuff. I thought it was really cool. And so I didn't check anything with breeders. I didn't know anything about what to look for. It was like, I just want this breed of dog. And
I know what I saw in the magazine. I know what
Yeah, exactly.
I want that.
Yeah. So luckily it turned out to be awesome. And he's a rock star. He's a complete turd though. He's so stubborn.
And which one's that? Your older one?
He's a male. His name's Otto.
Otto. Okay.
Yep. So he's 6 now. So, it was kind of sad because he had so much energy all the time. And till the end of last season, I really started to see him slowing down. And so it was kind of sad because he's slowing down, but he has all this knowledge now.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of this.
So mentally, he's like a pro.
Yeah.
But now the body starts again, not saying it's old geezer out there, but like you're saying.
He's getting up there. So when we go do a longer hunt, it takes him a day or two to recoup and things like that. But he's got so much knowledge now, and he's still really stubborn. He holds points, but then he likes to break them.
Sure.
But his nose is so freaking good.
Really?
He's awesome. So I'm excited for this year to have him slow down a little, stay closer.
A little more methodical, how he's working.
Yeah.
And, that's exciting, man. It's exciting to see that.
Awesome.
To have that older dog, kind of a nice thing. Like
it is
to have the dog with the knowledge and the brains to go, okay, I've done this. I've figured out how to work these birds. Like that's, I don't know, that's where it becomes really fun, I think.
It's really cool because you see him and you anticipate him making the same mistake.
Yeah.
But then you see him like go on point and then he'll like relocate. And then the bird stays. You're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you figured something out.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know what that is. I'm not dumb and I'm not smart enough to know what you just figured out.
But I know it's cool.
But it is cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so you have 2, right?
We have 2 short hairs. Okay. We just picked one up just this last year. She's a female and she's tiny. Like she is full grown probably. And she's like 40 pounds.
It's my kind of dog, man.
Yeah. It's awesome. I was really bummed because I was like, I want like another big short hair.
Sure.
But she just never grew. Like she just was maxed out. And
pretty like tall and leggy or just
short. Like,
oh, really?
She's probably not much bigger than like Gauge or Win.
Really?
Like she's a tiny little short hair. So I'm excited for her.
Oh yeah.
She's off to training right now.
She fit perfect in that 3-hole box right there. She's like, that's my kind of box.
Yeah. So, she's off to training right now. There's a guy in Utah who's just like 20 minutes from me. He has a company called Utah Bird Dog Training.
Okay.
His name's Tice Erickson, and he's a stud.
That's awesome.
So she's off with him for about 4 months. So she'll be back by end of October.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Perfect. Just getting ramped up, right? For bird season.
Yep.
And
so we'll pick her up, and then like that following week is when we leave for our big South Dakota trip.
Okay.
So it'll be fun to see her out in the field.
And how old is she again?
She just turned a year.
Okay, nice.
Yep.
Oh, so she's going to have a blast this season.
Yeah.
Getting in the rips and birds and just have a blast. And
yeah, so I'm excited because we'll have like this young dog that's got all this energy and this big motor. And then we'll have this old smart dog that doesn't have the motor but has all the wisdom.
Totally. It'll be a nice combo.
Yeah.
Well, any other dogs going out there with you on the South Dakota trip? Or?
Yeah, so my buddy Nick, we make this big trip every year with me, Nick, and Brian. And then this year, hopefully one of our friends, Brandon, he's a firefighter. He's coming out with us.
Oh, nice.
So Nick has a short hair as well. So it'll be 3 short hairs and 4 idiots.
Sounds like a good time, right? In South Dakota.
For a good time.
Are you primarily just going to target pheasant, or are you going to look for some chickens or anything out there?
Yeah, so we're going to do a couple days in the Fort Pierre grasslands, and we'll chase sharptails and prairie chickens. And then we'll go up towards Aberdeen and do pheasants and
I've never done the big, traditional South Dakota pheasant hunt. So it's on my list someday.
Stupid fun.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Like the first year we went, it was miserable. And that's what made it so fun. Like we didn't see anything. And we were up there for like a week. Like we probably shot four birds the entire week we were there. It was just awful. There was just so much water and it was so cold. But it was a blast and we were just hooked. So it's really to the point now where like we don't even care if we shoot anything. It's just fun to go up and walk these fields.
Sharing
and
a field with your buddies and your dogs.
It's so fun.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to get up there someday.
You should.
Yeah, I need to for sure. Ben, when you think back on, again, getting into hunting, around the time you got married, you kind of really getting back into it. You got your bird dog. You're like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
Thinking back then, so that's what, 5-6 years ago?
Yep.
Something like that. Like, I guess, what do you know now that you wish you knew then? Like just getting started, those 5 or 6 years ago, now being into it, like what's something that, I guess, how have you evolved as a hunter? And what are maybe some takeaways?
Yeah. Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, I haven't learned much. The big takeaway is habitat. And you're trying to look for certain things. And it's like Utah has so much grouse up in the mountains. And it's not so much of if they're there or not. It's trying to find the habitat that they're going to be living in. What do they like to eat? What do they like to feed on? What times of the day are they up in the trees? What time of the day are they down in the ground? What side of the mountain are you hunting? Is it north facing, south facing? Things like that you start to learn and kind of key in on. And one of the big ways, and it sounds super nerdy, but I started keeping like a hunting journal.
Oh, nice.
And that just started last year, and I was able to really quickly start picking up patterns on
that's great.
Where we were successful and where we weren't. And then we would make kind of some slight pivots and slight changes, and then we'd have more success. And then, we would change a little bit and we'd, evaluate, and then we'd change some things and we'd have more success after that. And so a lot of it is just trying to learn from your mistakes. But I'm really not the guy that when we go hunting, I'm trying to find like all these honey holes, and like, I'm just there to have fun.
Sure.
Like, we're up in the mountains, you're hearing elk bugle, you're in the thick timber, you're watching your dog. Like, that's just a win. That's a win for me. So
just being out there, right?
Yeah. So not that we don't want to shoot birds.
Sure. That's what we're all there for.
We're all there for, but it really is almost secondary.
Yeah.
The main reason is just to be out there with friends or even just by yourself. And then secondary is trying to find birds.
That's such a pivot point, I feel, for hunters. And that's what puts a smile on my face, is when the tipping point, you go from, you're all about kill, kill as many birds as you can, get your limit and get out of there.
Yeah.
When you transition from that mindset to what you're talking about of just being out there, watching good dog work, being in nature, like that's when it becomes like, oh, this is why I do, this is what motivates you to get up in the morning.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've had so many experiences where you get up on this like really cool overlook and the sun's setting and the sun's rising, and it's like this really cool Kodak moment. So I'll pull out my phone, I'm getting pictures of the dog or whatever, and like 20 feet away, these birds get up. You're like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you're like, well, yeah, I guess, yeah. I knew what I was getting into.
Totally, yeah.
I knew that I was taking the risk by pulling out the phone.
The risk, as soon as you reach into that pocket, as soon as you do, there's going to be some birds there.
Like, sometimes you're convinced, like, the only reason that the bird was there is because I pulled the phone out.
So you're like, somehow you willed it into being.
Yeah.
Totally, man. It was, blue grouse was a whole new experience for me. Again, I've talked to some folks that of like, all right, how do I do this? Where do I look? What are some things I look for? And, again, starting out for blue grouse, like it was really helpful to start driving. I drove a bunch of fire roads and all sorts of things, just to like, okay, I'm going to find a bird driving first.
Oh yeah.
And I did. I found, okay, here's some birds. And stepped out of my truck and looked around like, all right, this is like you said, what time, and started to make some like mental notes of like, all right, this is get you in the right area. Then from there, just freaking had a blast of like, hey, look in this darker timber this time of day. And sure enough, that's where they were.
Yeah. And as soon as you figure it out, they'll switch it on you.
Yeah.
They're in the spot there.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I thought I figured them out.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So are you primarily hunting grouse in Utah, or what's kind of your makeup of upland hunting there?
So we'll do we basically do everything, just grouse, ruffed and blues.
That's right. You have ruffed as well. Okay. Oh,
and they all kind of intermingle.
Yeah.
They all kind of intermingle to a certain extent. As the season progresses, the mountains get socked in with snow, so you can't get up as high. And then we'll chase chukar occasionally. We're not total psychos, so we don't chase them all the time, like Final Rise Matt and those guys.
Sure.
We're not complete psychos.
I mean, we got kids, we got dad bods. I mean,
you're right,
come on,
exactly.
We're not crazy.
Yeah, that's so brutal. But yeah, mostly grouse and the mountain grouse, and then occasionally we'll go out to like a preserve and shoot pheasants, just because it's shooting fish in a barrel.
I was gonna say pheasants are primarily now preserved kind of in Utah. Okay.
Yeah, Utah releases birds during their pheasant hunt, and so we have like a really tiny population of like wild pheasants, true wild pheasants. But almost every pheasant you shoot is either farm raised and the state releases them, or you're going to a preserve.
Sure. Okay.
So, and that's fun. It's just get a bunch of buddies and just go blast a bunch of pheasants.
Yeah, totally. There's something fun about that too.
Yeah, it's super fun. And then we try to do like one big trip, and that's usually South Dakota every year. Okay. So we'll go up there for a week or 10 days or something like that.
Nice. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. One thing I was going to ask you, I don't think I've ever asked anyone this about grouse. So do rough grouse, are they the same as blues where they they reverse migrate and go higher as well?
I don't think so. I think it's only blues that reverse migrate.
Okay.
And they go higher the colder it gets.
Gotcha.
I think roughs stay lower.
Okay.
And clearly I'm the expert at it, so you can no reason to fact check.
Someone out there knows the correct answer, either back Ben up, confirm it, or let us know. That's awesome, man. What we're thinking about last season, what were maybe some maybe kind of a highlight for you, something that stood out as a favorite memory, something that made last season extra special.
Yeah. Last season, the thing that really was kind of fun is to see your dog really, really start to dial in and really figure stuff out. And like I said, he would go on points, and then, he would relocate, and like he could kind of tell where the bird was, and you could kind of relocate and put pressure on it so that we would kind of box in the birds. And for a lot of it, my dog, all the pheasant exposure he'd had were on like preserves and farm raised pheasants. And so when we went out to South Dakota last year, like something just really clicked with him, and he was able to lock up on point on a lot of wild roosters.
That's awesome.
And it was really, really fun to see all that happen. Yeah. But aside from that, I mean, like sometimes like the worst hunts are the best. Like you don't see anything, something happened, it was super rainy, it was nasty weather. And then like looking back, you're like, that was the best
awesome
time. Yeah. It was super fun.
Exactly.
So that kind of all ties back into like why you're really there.
Sure.
So like I said, I don't even care if we shoot anything. Like,
sure.
It's just going out is the best part.
Yeah. Amen. Amen to that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'd love to transition a little bit into BPro Kennels.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of learn a little bit, I guess the story why. Like what led you to say, all right, I'm going to start making some custom badass dog boxes? What led you down that route?
Mostly because I'm an idiot and thought I could. No, so part of it was like, as a fabricator, you always just see stuff and you're like, I could build that. And then that leads into, why don't I build that? And so I'd seen all these like aluminum dog boxes from these different companies, and you just look at them and you're like, there's no like style to it. There's no structure to it. It's literally like sheet metal that's bent, and that's where it gets all of its strength. And yeah, that can be strong to a certain extent, but like I would just see these aluminum dog boxes and I'm like, why are these not held to the same standard as like your gunners that are like super, super strong, super well built? But then tie it back into like metal, have like some design aspect to it, have like, you know, some storage. Like it needs to do more than just hold your dog.
Sure.
And so a couple years ago, I built one and I had this whole grand vision for it. And I just ran out of time before our South Dakota trip. So it looks awful, but I built this dog box and it was like the size of a refrigerator. It was massive.
And probably weighed heavier than.
It was so heavy. It was so big. And like you could fit 10 of my dogs in each hole. Like it was so overbuilt. And I didn't know what I was doing.
Sure.
I was just
kind of for fun. Like,
Yep. I was like, this is the size I'm going to make it. And, you know, come hell or high water, this is what it's going to be. And it was massive. And that was a kind of a pivotal point because it was kind of a proof of concept. Like I could build this. I just ran out of time. So like all the things that I wanted to do, I just didn't have time for. So then later that next year, I had some sketches drawn up and I sat down with my engineer who draws up a bunch of stuff for me, and we sketched it all out. And I had him get me all these files that we can go get laser cut. And so everything's like exact measurements, you know, exactly perfect. And then I built the first one, which we took to South Dakota last year.
Okay.
And that was the one that was kind of more in line with the way that they look now.
Okay.
It was still pretty tall.
Has storage inside and all that. Okay.
Yep. Solar, battery, lights. It was still a little bit taller than I wanted, or, you know, come to find out after it was too tall. So then we made some changes to that. And I started to get stopped every once in a while by people at like gas stations. Like, that's a sweet dog box. Like, who made that? And you're like, well, I did.
Yeah.
You know, don't look too close because I made it. But then like everyone's like, you need to sell these. I'm like, no, like I have no interest in selling them. They're just for me. It's kind of like this rite of passage almost. Like before we go to South Dakota, I build a new dog box and then I sell it. And so I had really no interest in it until people really started to kind of gravitate towards it and like, this is, you've got something here. So that's when I kind of doubled down. I made this other one and we took it to Pheasant Fest. And
that's right. You were at Pheasant Fest 2021?
Just this year. Yep. Just earlier this year, 2022.
2022.
Yep.
Okay, nice.
So that was our first Pheasant Fest. And I was like, let's just try it. Like I called them up and I was like, how much is a booth? And they told me the price. And I was like, I could swing that. And looked at how far Omaha was, and it was like 17 hours. Like, I could drive that in a day. Yeah. Okay, we can do this. So just kind of gambled on it and took it out there and had a lot of really positive feedback, met a lot of really cool people. And at that price point, at that time, it was really like this custom price. Like, it was kind of, for how much I had put into it, I needed to have like a ton of money to get it, to make my money.
Sure.
But then I started to run the numbers. I'm like, if we can streamline this a little bit more, like this can be a little bit more cost effective and budget friendly, if you will.
Sure.
Budget being a loose term. And so then that's kind of where it started. And I was like, let's just try it. Let's just go for it.
Go from there.
And,
I want to keep going with this a lot deeper, but how was Pheasant Fest? It's kind of a sidetrack.
It was so fun.
Was it?
Yeah. It was kind of, I had no idea what to expect. I'd never even heard of Pheasant Fest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. So you're like, I'll show up, sure.
Yeah. So I was like, I had no idea what this was. I was like, this is going to be like the biggest like white trash convention, like Pheasant Fest, like, you know.
Like, what am I going to?
Yeah. But then like, as I learned more, I'm like, okay, this is sponsored or put on by Pheasants Forever. It's like this really big deal. It's like this really kind of, if you will, prestigious trade show. And I had no idea about it. And so when I got there, I started to meet all these cool people, and I was right across the aisle from the Flush TV.
Oh, cool.
So I got to sit and chat with them, and it was a really, really positive experience.
That's so cool.
It was really cool, and I had no idea what to expect, but I was blown away. It was really cool. So we'll be back every year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've never been to one myself either.
Yeah.
I thought about doing one last year or this year because it wasn't that Omaha's super close for me.
Yeah.
I was like, I should do it. And, whatever. It didn't happen.
Right.
But I definitely want to get out there because that sounds like a cool, just to meet the people. And again, if you have a booth and things like that for BPro,
you should come out.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, it should be fun. think this next one's in
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, Minnesota.
So that'll be
a little
fun.
bit further, but
Yeah, it's like a day and a half drive.
Yeah, just hang out with your hunting buddies. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a good time right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll have to check it out. Okay, so we're gonna back up even a little bit further, I guess. So I guess talk about your experience with welding and getting into this kind of fabrication kind of, I guess, career that you've been in. Like how did that start?
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
So I went to trade school for welding. I guess backing up even further, when I was in high school, the only real classes that I really gravitated towards and really excelled at were like the vocational skills, like woodworking, metalworking, things like that. I even did really good like in sewing and, anything that you could like hands-on build stuff. And so that was kind of where I always knew that I had my strengths. And I was never really like big into school. And in hindsight, I wish I would have been like kind of buckled down more and studied harder. But it wasn't until much later. So after high school, I went and served a mission for my church for 2 years. I went down to Texas. It was awesome. And when I got back, I was just kind of lost. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. At that point, you're kind of an adult and you're like, I need to start figuring life out.
Sure.
And so I bounced around from a couple different jobs, couple different industries. And every time I just kept feeling gravitated back towards welding. And so I knew that I was good at it from high school. I had a really awesome instructor who was way more of a mentor than a teacher. And so at that time, he had graduated from teaching high school to now he was teaching the local tech school.
Okay.
So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, how does this work? What's the tech program look like? So he got me, everything that I needed, helped me get enrolled. And then I just like buckled down. And usually this whole welding program usually takes about a year. And I think I finished it like in 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Like I just buckled down.
So you went
like,
all in.
Yep. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. And I just plowed through it. And then kind of towards the tail end of school, I'm like, all right, I need to find a job. I need to find a job that's in this career because I don't want to go, back to working construction or something that's not in this field. I want to be in welding. I want to be in a metal shop. That's what I went to school for. So I started doing all this, running around, trying to meet people, trying to, just stop in to different shops, see if they were hiring. And with welding, nobody really wants to hire somebody that doesn't have experience. It's a big risk for the business owner to take on somebody who doesn't know how to weld or is just straight out of welding school.
Fresh, yeah.
So I was getting kind of discouraged, and I found this one company that was they were actually looking for a driver, but in the description it said welding would be a plus.
Sure.
So I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I'm looking just for welding. And they're like, yeah, come on in, let's talk. So I went and met with him, and he was like, unfortunately, we're really not looking for just a welder. And then I was like, well, what if I just work for free? Like, all I'm trying to do is just gain some experience so that if I do go to some other shop, I can say, I do have experience. I've been in a metal shop. And he was kind of blown away. He's like, you want to just work for free?
You're like, yes, that's my offer.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, no brainer. Come on in. So I worked there for probably 3 or 4 months, and I went in every day and I just worked for free. And then I got another job offer, and the boss that I was working for free found out. So he approached me. He was like, hey, we don't want you to leave. Like, we're ready to pay you now.
Oh, wow.
Now that you're getting ready to leave, now
yeah, totally. It happens.
So I ended up sticking out with them for a long time and kind of grew in that company. Ended up running that whole metal department, and we went from like when I was first hired on, that company had like 7 employees to when I left, they had like over 100.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of running the whole metal department, a little bit of like the assembly side and some other stuff like that.
Sure. Was it kind of like just again? Is all metal shops like just a lot of custom work? Is that generally how it is, or
yes,
do they have
and no.
They have a focus?
This company built a product, and their product was these remote security surveillance trailers.
Oh, okay.
So it was basically like a trailer that had this solar panel on it and these batteries, and it had this big telescoping mast that went up in the air and had cameras on it. So they would deploy them out to construction sites so the general contractor could have security on their job sites.
Gotcha. Okay.
And now they're big enough now where, they're in all these Walmart parking lots. You might have seen them. They're like this white trailer in Walmart parking lots, and they have these blue flashing lights and all these cameras on top.
Yep, totally.
So that's the company that I worked for.
Okay.
And so we did a lot of custom fabrication in there because they were trying to, advance their product. always changing it, always making revisions, always trying to make it better. So we did a lot of custom fabrication with that in just building new parts and building new brackets, things like that.
Sure.
And that's where you kind of learn and cut your teeth on fabricating and being able to look at something and almost reverse engineer it and see something and say, I know how that got built.
Okay.
And then I can go get raw material and cut it all out and rebuild it.
Sure.
So that was a huge blessing to be at that company for so long and to be given all those experiences. In fact, that company, they got a contract for Colorado Department of Transportation, so CDOT.
Okay.
And CDOT approached them and said, we have all these locations all over our state that are bottlenecks for us because when the snow flies, we have to get a guy in the plow truck, drive all the way to the top of this mountain pass just to see if the snow is sticking. And it's a big financial burden
time commitment, but yeah.
So they're like, we're losing all this money by just sending a driver out to some mountain road just see if the snow's sticking, when in reality the snow's sticking 50 miles away from that guy.
Sure.
So like, we want you to come out and put all these cameras all along the state, all along these big mountain passes and big corridors and stuff like that, so we can log into the camera and see what the road conditions are like. And so for an entire summer, me and two other guys, we drove all over Colorado.
Oh, wow.
So like we went like every single back road that you can imagine, up every mountain pass.
So you were doing installation then? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was before I was married, and they approached us, the guys out in the shop, and they're like, hey, we need a couple guys that are willing to just go live in Colorado for a year. And
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Yes, please.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So it was awesome. So anyways, if you're driving around Colorado and you see these big concrete poles along the side of the road and they have a camera on top, that was me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. So
we
installed those.
Oh, I'm going to be looking for those next time.
Yeah. And once you see them, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Once they stand out once, like,
Yep.
sort of
exactly. So anyways, that was kind of my origin story, if you will, on fabrication. I grew with that company a lot, and to the point where, to no fault of anybody else, I just kind of topped out on pay, and there wasn't any more room for growth there. And so I left. Super good terms, but I started my own company, my own welding company, and that's when I started getting more into like the construction side of things. We do a lot of ornamental handrail, we do a lot of structural steel beams, and then with my background of going through trade school and at that other company, I had learned how to do a lot of, it's called exotic metals, but that's like your aluminum and your stainless and brass and, more of a specialty welding. And so that's kind of where I learned all that stuff. So in my welding company, I was able to offer up, basically you name it, we can build it or fix it. So people would bring us like front end loaders that were all beat and destroyed, and we cut stuff apart and weld in stuff back together, or like food grade sanitary stainless pipe. We'd go and do all that stuff, and we did a lot of like really high end stainless that had to be like really strict tolerances and all that good stuff. And then that just kind of advanced more and more and more to the point where we started just building dog boxes. Yeah,
so, natural progression. Right, totally. So what's next for us? Dog boxes.
Yeah, everybody does it.
When you have some bird dogs at home, it's up there.
And that's kind of the part of it that's a good point where when you have a certain interest, you kind of gravitate towards wanting to build stuff for that interest.
Sure.
Like if you were really big into off-road and Jeeps and stuff, like you'd go get a Jeep and you'd build a roll cage and build bumpers and go out and hammer on your Jeep and come back and fix it.
Because it's fun. It's like there's your work and your knowledge base. Yes. And then you blend that with your kind of hobby passion. Like, this is perfect.
Exactly. And that's kind of what happened with the dog boxes were, I was like, how can I contribute like with my skill set to this? Sure. So let's just build a dog box and let's see what happens. Yeah. So
see how it goes. Yeah. I'll tell you, I think it went well. So I think it went very well for you. This is kind of a totally random welding question. Yeah. Can you, I don't know where I heard this, can you not weld aluminum and stainless steel?
Correct.
That's correct. Okay.
Yep. They're two dissimilar of alloys. Aluminum is a naturally occurring element. Okay. Stainless is an alloy. So they just don't, they don't.
You can't work with them. Mm-mm. So you can't even weld two pieces of stainless steel together. Or...
You can weld stainless to stainless.
Okay.
But you can't weld aluminum to stainless.
Gotcha. Okay. So you can, I didn't know that. I thought you couldn't even like weld stainless to stainless or things like that. Okay.
Yep. So you could weld like stainless steel to regular steel.
Inukshuk Professional Dog Food is designed to keep your hunting companion healthy, strong, and alert. Inukshuk's highly digestible, nutrient-dense formulas cut down on meal sizes, aiding in efficient digestion. Through a unique vacuum infusion process, Inukshuk packs more calories per cup than any other dry dog food on the market. Inukshuk is family-owned, Canadian-made, and is available in bulk, online, and through our growing network of trusted resellers. Find out more at inukshukpro.com.
Although you'd lose attributes of the stainless steel, wherever your weld would not be a stainless steel metal, so that would obviously rust and fail.
Gotcha.
But if you needed to, you absolutely could.
Okay.
So
that's cool. That's cool. I was homeschooled, so I did not do the whole high school shop. My mom didn't teach that. So,
well, I wasn't homeschooled or public schooled. I just skipped school.
I mean, that's one option.
Yeah.
I think it worked out pretty well for you. Ben, can you take me through, I guess, the process of the dog box construction right now?
Sure. And
not just construction, but kind of the design to finished product process. I'm curious on like what that looks like for someone. Let's say someone listening says, hey, I want to go down the route of a custom box. Like, what does it look like behind the scenes, I guess?
Sure. It really comes down to identifying what are priorities. So like, do you want it to be really strong where you could park your truck on top of it? Do you want it to be really lightweight? Do you want it to have these features? Do you want it to have solar or no solar or battery or lights or, insulation? So it's a matter of kind of identifying what the client's needs are first, and then we design it around that. So like our two-hole, which is kind of like our standard, the way that one works is we build this entire skeleton, if you will, out of aluminum tubing. It's really stiff, really rigid, and it provides a lot of strength for the box. And that's where most of the strength comes from, is this really stiff, rigid frame. And then on top of that, then we put what's called the skins on it. So the outer edges, the outer sides. And then we go get it powder coated, we bring it back, we put the insulation in, we add some more panels to it, wire in the lights, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But the origin is trying to find out, what the client's needs are and what they're what they're wanting.
So you can get pretty granular, and you can be like, hey, if they don't want lights, okay, fine, take them out. If they want, an extra big solar panel, they can get an extra big solar panel. So they can, again, down to the smaller details.
Yeah.
Like I know when you and I were working, like we were even talking about, hey, what kind of tie downs points do you want? You sent me a bunch of pictures of hey, here's a couple options. And so you can get pretty detailed, it sounds like.
So, and just to put a caveat to that or an asterisk next to that, everything that we customize adds labor and cost.
Sure.
So like our standard two-hole, we've got that one pretty dialed in. It's like a cut and paste, ready to go. You can obviously delete certain features that you don't want or maybe you can't afford, and that's to everybody's own discretion to figure out what their needs are and what they are willing to spend money on, because it is kind of an expensive piece of gear.
Sure.
And so there's no reason to say either you have to have it the way I want it or you don't get it at all.
Sure.
Instead, it's like, what can you afford? What are your needs? What do you want it to do? And then let's work backwards and try to get as many of those as we can inside your budget.
Yeah.
So
that's key. That was one of the first things you and I talked about was like, hey, what's your budget? Like what we're kind of looking at, and it's
what's
like,
realistic.
That's a great starting point because, like you said, it's an investment. It's a cost, and so everyone's going to have a different, different goals too. Like vents that were like closable vents were super important to me,
right?
And that was like a high priority to say, all right, Ben, like, can you figure out how to work this out? And you're like, yeah, I haven't done that really before, but let's do it.
Right, and that's the benefit to having all this experience with fabrication, having a full fab shop where like whatever you can think of, we can build it. Yeah. So really the sky is the limit. If you wanted it all out of stainless steel, like, we can do that.
Oh, wow.
If you want it all out of 2x4s, I'm probably not your guy.
That's where you draw the line, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
when it gets into wood, that's where I lose my expertise.
Like, keep the metal. I'm good with metal.
But really, like anything that they can think of, we can design it, we can build it.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Yeah. Can you talk about maybe some of the, I guess, the standout features of the dog box and kind of what makes it different than your standard box out there?
Yeah. So from conception, I was like, if we're going to build a dog box, I don't want it to just hold my dog. I want it to do more than that. It also needs to be incredibly strong so that I have peace of mind that my dogs are safe. I've never been in a wreck, but heaven forbid I get in a wreck, my dogs have to be safe, just like you'd put your kids in the seatbelt.
Sure.
Our dogs are part of our family. They have just as much right to be safe as my kids. And obviously, if we're just going to the gas station or whatnot, like maybe I'll just throw them in the back of the truck and do that way. But realistically, like I put my dog in the dog box anywhere we go.
Yeah.
So that was from conception. It had to be really strong, and it had to do more than just hold a dog. So that's why I was like, okay, well, it's got to have storage, and it's got to have lids. It's got to have access to the storage. So if it's got this big, huge lid on the top, instead of having all this wasted space, what else can we add to that? Okay, we could put a solar panel inside that lid. And then if there's a solar panel, let's put batteries on it. And if it's batteries, let's add lights. And
it just kind of teardrop from there.
It really did. And it was like, mine as well. Like if it's going to live in the back of your truck, let's put brake lights on it so that you have more road presence. Let's put marker lights so that when you're driving down the interstate late at night, that everyone around you sees this bright illuminated dog box and knows you're there. And, you know, that way.
Kind of a safety standpoint too.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
You know, I mean, it also looks super cool.
Right. But doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But that was part of it. It was just like, it's got to keep the dog safe. It's got to be insulated. It's got to have nice doors, nice features. And then, like I said earlier, like you can delete all of those if those are not inside your budget or if you just don't want those.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of the conception was like, let's just build the Taj Mahal, if you will, of dog boxes.
Start here, and then if someone doesn't want certain things.
Right.
I think I'm most curious about the solar panel. Now, like, was that again? I think I'm more so curious just on the like, how did you think to blend those two together? Like, was it just like you were thinking, okay, we have space. What can I put there? What can I put there?
A little bit of that, but from the company that I worked for a long time, we did a ton of solar. All of these security surveillance
with
trailers,
those things in the parking lots. Yeah.
They were all solar powered that would charge batteries. And just because I was like, I hated having all these cords in my truck, charging collars and phones and cameras. And like, it just was such a bird's nest inside the cab. I'm like, is there any way to take some of that and put it in the dog box, in this storage? So let's put a battery in there, but then the battery needs a way to get power. So let's put a solar panel on it.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a design headache, trying to figure out how to seal that water or to seal that solar panel, so that water wouldn't get into that storage compartment. So that was a little bit of some design challenges to overcome. But ultimately, we kind of settled on the design that we're at, where it's pretty waterproof. It's not watertight, but you know, it's enough to keep elements out. And you know, if you get a really nasty rain, you might get some water in that storage compartment. But the solar panel's sealed. Really, the only place that water gets in is right at the hinges, right at the weak point. But yeah, that was kind of the origin for the solar panel. Was we have all this extra space, you know, what else can we put on this to be a value add?
Yeah. That's a huge add for sure.
Yeah.
Talk about the battery bank and the solar panel a little bit more. I think because of the 3-hole, you have a little bit more space to do a little bit larger panel. But what are some of the things I guess you can run off this? Sure. You know, and how have you used it yourself? And
so depending on how big of a dog box you get, you're obviously restricted to size to a certain extent. So in yours, we have this big 500 watt hour battery. It's got two 120 volt plugs. It's got a whole bunch of USBs and micro USBs and like a 12 volt car input. It's like you can, like your specific battery on, well, backing up a little bit further, we use a product called Goal Zero. Okay. And the only reason we use them is they're really rugged, and they make a solar panel and a battery bank, so you can plug and play them together. So they work really well together. But with your particular battery, online it says like you could run your Traeger for like 9 or 10 hours. You can run a microwave. You could run a mini fridge.
Wow.
So more often than not, we're not going to be using a mini fridge out in the field.
Right.
But it does speak to the fact that like you could charge all of your collars
multiple times,
and then
and we're just talking just off one full charge. And it's again we're thinking about solar. Like we have to remember, it's going to continually charge.
Yes, so it's always, you can unplug the solar from the battery, but more often than not, you'll just leave it plugged in. And so while you're driving from one field to the next, or if you park your truck, you know, it's always charging the battery. So when I was at Pheasant Fest, I had all the lights plugged into my one little battery, and that one was like a 200 watt hour battery. And I left all the lights on for the entire day, and I think it went from like 99% full to like 79% full.
Wow.
Like in a full 10-hour day, like they're all LED lights, so they don't pull any power.
Sure.
But that does go to say, like, if you were charging your collars and your phone and your laptop and your, collars and whatever else.
You got options to plug quite a bit in there.
Yeah. And, heaven forbid you drain that whole battery, like in an evening or a night or a day, like, because it's always plugged in. As soon as that sun comes out, it's charging again.
Yeah.
So
that's really nice peace of mind. Just again, there's one thing of charging up a portable battery thing, bringing it with you. Okay, well, when it's drained, you need to go find power and outlet.
Right.
To
and then there is that aspect where if you do want, like if you go to a hotel or something like that, an Airbnb, you can take the entire battery out and go plug it into the wall.
That's right.
So
you showed me that
all night long, it can be charging as well. So that first thing in the morning,
give yourself,
if tomorrow's going to be a really nasty day, it's snowy, and the chances of the sun coming out are really slim.
Yeah.
You can just take it inside, charge the whole battery, and then you've got power on tap.
Totally. Oh, dude, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to get this thing on its inaugural hunt with me. So,
and I use those floodlights, those LED floodlights. I use those for everything. This last summer, we were making these cutting boards for my mom. We were going to like some family reunion, and she wanted these cutting boards. And so late at night, I went out to the truck, dropped the tailgate, turned these floodlights on, and I'm like sanding these these cutting boards right on the tailgate because I had all this light available. So.
Yeah, that's a little workspace whether you're camping or working in your driveway, like to have that added. Hey, let's light up the area and
like most times when you're hunting in the evening, you're getting back to your truck after dark.
Sure.
And so I always like to just give my dog a once over. It's nothing super thorough, but I just want to rub down their whole body.
Just eyes,
make sure they don't have any big gashes. And then when I get home, I'll do a little bit more of a thorough check. But put the dog up on the tailgate. You have all this light. You're checking their paws, their underbelly, their ears, their eyes, making sure that they're good to go.
Because how many times have we all done, like we got the phone in one hand or maybe a headlight. We're trying to look at our dogs.
Yeah. Or your friend has a phone light, but he's off looking at something else. Like the light drifts and you're yelling at him.
Light over here. Yeah. This way.
PTSD from dad growing up. So there's that aspect of it. And then obviously like when you're putting your gear away and you're, trying to wipe down your gun or, take down your gun, you have all this light. You can illuminate your tailgate. If you're cleaning birds right there on your tailgate, you've got all the light you need.
Totally.
You got power if you needed to run something else.
Yeah. Hey, even for, again, I'm thinking about all the hunting scenarios, all the, like, taking your kids camping, things like that, like cooking on tailgate. Like I'll bring my little portable grill and on tailgate, but like having like a surface lit up like that's gonna be pretty nice to.
And your box has 4 lights. It lights up the entire area.
I'm sure.
Awesome.
It's got some power.
Yeah, it's so rad.
Oh my gosh. Talk about so let's talk about my specific box a little bit more. So it's mine's on top of a decked drawer system.
Right.
And so we were able to go pretty darn wide.
Right.
And so I guess talk about were there any unique challenges with my box? Because I think, was this one of your first 3 holes you made?
Yeah. So you were the first person that really pulled the trigger on the 3-hole, and a lot of it was designing on the fly. We obviously wanted to get it to you for this season, for this hunting season. So it was kind of some rapid prototyping was happening, and our standard 4-hole or standard 2-hole is quite a bit taller. I think it's maybe 10 inches taller than what yours is right now. Yours is 28. I think the standard 2-hole, I've got all these numbers in my head.
Yeah, I know.
I want to say the standard 2-hole, maybe it's not 10 inches. I think it's maybe 30.
Yeah, is it 34 high? Yeah.
34 inches high. So it's a little bit shorter. Or your 3-hole's a little bit shorter, and that's because you're on that decked system. We wanted to stay below your cab line.
That's really important. Is we are below the cab line still. So I'm on a 2017 F-150 with a decked.
Yes,
and we're still 2.5, 3 inches. something like that below the cab line. So
so that gives you a little bit of clearance. So if you were in a rollover, hopefully the dog box holds up its end of the deal and holds up the bedside.
Totally,
but keeps your dog safe. And then because of your deck, you don't have wheel wells anymore.
Yeah.
And so we were able to go way wider.
Yeah.
So we were able to use up all the real estate in your bed.
I think I wrote down, I think we went 58 wide.
Yep, 58 inches wide, which I think on your bed, we probably have like 1.5 to 2 inches on each side.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty snug fit, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
And
I think we did that to get a little bit extra room in each of the compartments.
Exactly. And I think that's probably about as narrow as we'd want to go on a 3-hole. Otherwise, you get really tiny, thin compartments. And, for a dog like a short hair, like a medium-sized to big-sized dog, that's not happening.
Sure.
on your dogs, the sizes that they have currently are like perfect.
Yeah.
I think those are going to be just perfect for your size dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone's got that 40 to 45, maybe even 50-pound dog. Like
Sure.
They're going to get in there really well.
Yeah. I threw my dog in your box, and he's almost 70 when he's at his thickest, midsummer when he's a chunky as charged kind of guy. But he fits in there just fine. It's a little bit tight, tight of a squeeze for him to turn around and lay down, but he did it just fine.
Yeah.
But I think the sweet spot is like your size of a dog.
Yeah.
40, 50 pounds.
That's perfect. We got to get them in there.
Yeah.
we do. Let them try it out. I tried to toss my kids in there, but they weren't having it.
Your kids are pretty smart. So.
Yeah. They're like, I'm good.
Something's fishy.
I am good. Talk a little bit about the vent configuration. Again, that was one of the kind of top priorities for me, to have vents that were closable in the winter, keep the heat in, and open them up. You had to do some tricky work with those.
Yes.
That give you any trouble?
A little bit. The big issue with those was if we were to leave everything raw aluminum, which you can do, you don't have to powder coat it. Aluminum has corrosion resistance properties, so it doesn't rust. It'll hold up really well to the elements. But if you wanted to powder coat it, powder coat adds a thickness to the metal. And when you're having these vents that are sliders instead of like big louvers, like a lot of the other companies do, which are fine, they're just really bulky and they don't have any design aspect to them. So they're just really big and clunky. So having these sliders that are really low profile, you have to take into account not only the thickness of your aluminum, but also the thickness of the powder coat. And, there's all these different layers that are getting powder coated, and all those tolerances start to stack. And so you're trying to find this happy balance of, how much powder coat is too much and what's not enough. And so a lot of that's trying to dial that in.
Sure.
And then with a lot of those sliders, just by, way of designing them, you can't have certain like set screws to like pinch the slider to hold it in place. Aluminum is a soft enough metal where that would start to mar it and create big gouges, and then that would cause problems down the road. So, not to say that we wouldn't ever entertain stuff like that, but the way it is right now, I think we've got it pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're always improving. We're always looking for better and faster and stronger ways to do things. But as it sits right now, I think it's a really good happy medium.
Yeah. It covered all the bases of, sides, front doors, and rear of the box.
Right.
All have vents that can open and close.
Yeah. And the back was a little bit of a tricky design, because if it's in the back and there's a center dog hole, I was just thinking more selfishly. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is climb into my bed to adjust the vent for the middle dog. So I'm like, I want to be able to adjust all the vents all at the same time on the back. So the whole back is one sliding vent. So it's kind of a all or nothing for the dogs.
Yeah.
So it's either all the dogs get ventilation or none of the dogs get ventilation on the back.
Which, I can't think of a scenario where like, this dog needs vent. Just either open them all or.
Exactly. And it is only one of the vents that's offered. So if you needed to get a little bit more fine tuned with some of the dogs, you could adjust the sides or the front, things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, that was probably the trickiest part, was trying to figure out the slides.
Yeah.
And do it in a fast enough time frame that we could still get this to you and
totally
get you up and running.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. So super pumped. What I guess what does it look like for someone right now? Say they're looking at a dog box, they want to pull the trigger on one of these. Like, what's kind of like a rough timeline right now that they'd be looking at?
So the standard 2-hole and now our standard 3-hole, which is the same one you have, those ones are probably 4 to 6 weeks from the time that you place your order to the time that we're shipping them. Shipping is a little bit of an unknown variable, just because you have to use all these different freight companies and shipping companies, and they all have different processes and standard operating procedures and things like that. But typically it's 4 to 6 weeks from the time you submit your order to the time that we're shipping it. Okay. And the reason for that window is just depending on what options you're getting, and if you're getting a custom color, if somebody's just getting like a black or a gray or a brown, more often than not, we probably have that color in stock.
Sure.
But there's nothing to say that you can't just go online and pick any crazy random super awesome color. But that would just add a little bit to the lead time, because you'd have to get that in and then powder coat that. So, but yeah, 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, that's not bad at all. When you think about, a custom box like this, that's a pretty darn good timeline.
Yeah, and then obviously the sky's the limit. If you want to get really crazy and you have the budget to design something really cool, or you want to get really funky and do a real custom design,
Sure.
then that would just be we just chat individually and figure out a good lead time
at a time.
Yeah.
This tan looks sweet, man.
I love this color.
That tan, and then what flat black doors and all that.
Yep. Yeah. So your color, I can't remember the exact color name, but it's like a federal standard color. So like, if some random shop was building signs for the government and they needed to match a certain,
kind of a universal.
Yep, it's like a universal federal color, and it looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's funny because like when you leave it raw aluminum, it looks really cool. But as soon as you paint it or powder coat it, whatever color you choose, instantly you're like, that's the exact color that we should have done.
It adds just some, I don't know what it is, like add some dimension to it, like some character, I guess.
Kind of classes it up and
personalizes it too. It's like, hey, everyone's got their thing, their favorite, whatever, sports team or color pattern that they like. And so,
so there's a whole bunch of components on the dog box that can be custom colored. You know, hinges, latches, light hoods, doors, vents, all that stuff can be custom tailored to whatever you're trying to do. So if you wanted to do everything red and white for the Kansas City Chiefs or whatever, right?
hey, now, let's not get crazy.
The Denver Broncos.
Thank you.
I don't think they sell those colors. Nobody wants those. Just kidding. But yeah, like if you could match it to your truck, you could match it to your, whatever you wanted. So it gets really cool to be able to customize that.
Totally. Yeah, it was a fun process. I mean, we tried to match the kind of the color on my podcast logo, and
I felt so bad for you because I kept like sending you colors, and I'm like, "What do you think?"
That was the toughest. That was the toughest thing in the whole process was just like me deciding, like, because it's just it's a big deal, and so I was just thinking, I was like, all right, this color, this flat or have some sheen, and it was tricky.
But I feel like as the business owner, like I need to offer that, and I need to cater to that because this isn't like a cheap.
Sure.
You're not going down to Cabela's and buying this dog box.
Right.
Like it's kind of an investment. So I owe it to the end user to say, let's make it as custom to you as we can.
Totally.
And making custom colors doesn't change the price. Like powder coat is sold by the pound. Certain colors might run a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but average it all out, it's all the same. So mine as well, like, you're getting this box, you're putting an investment in, like, how can I make it even more special to you as the end user?
Right.
It might end up in a couple restless nights for the client trying to decide what color, but ultimately I think it gives a better product. And we really try to be kind of more of a boutique white glove. Like I want to get to know you personally. Like what kind of dogs are you running? What are you doing? Like, are you out in the woods or are out in the prairie? Like what colors do you want? Let's really tailor it to you as much as possible instead of just dealing with some website and you got to place your order and
here's your options and tough luck.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was the one thing, big things I appreciated, Ben, was, right when we first started talking, it was like, okay, tell me about your dog's size, and then, because another big part for me was like the size of the compartments. And so I just wanted to really dial those in to like fit my Brittany's well. And that, again, so I appreciate that level of like attention, because it was like, I feel very confident in like these box sizes for their compartments.
Right.
So more just a statement of like, well done on like just understanding the needs of your customer, because that's, again, when you're dropping, when you're buying a dog box like this, like you want it to be kind of perfect. I know such thing as perfect, but like as close to as you can.
Yeah. And it's an investment. It's not, like I said, it's not just like some plastic crate that you get from, Cabela's or Sportsman's, and there's nothing wrong with those if that's what you can afford.
Sure.
Anything's better than nothing. But when you do decide to step up and, you want to get into this, custom dog box world, there's a reason we call it custom. Like we want you to feel like this is exactly what you wanted.
Totally.
To fit inside your budget, we try to tailor it as much to you as possible.
Exactly. Did you say you're going to build yourself a 3-hole?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. After I built this one, about halfway through, I was like, all right, I got to build one. So
it's pretty sweet.
The main reason we're building the 3-hole is for our South Dakota trip, because we're taking 3 dogs.
Nice.
And so I don't know if I'll keep it. I might try to do like a giveaway or raffle it off or auction it off, whatever, something, because I personally don't have 3 dogs, so I don't need a 3-hole.
Not yet, Ben.
Not yet.
Not yet. Don't remember that.
Yeah. Oh. Famous last word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's one more short hair?
more?
I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Seriously.
You got options.
Yeah.
Oh, well, dude, that's awesome. I'm super excited to see seeing this company grow and seeing these boxes get into people's hands. Like it's an exciting thing. I'm sure for you to be able to see that now from conception all the way through delivering boxes. That's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah. I'm super excited to start seeing people post pictures about them and, start giving me feedback on things that we can do better, things that they're liking, things that they're noticing that are, overbuilt or underbuilt or, any feedback's good. Any information. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, this was super fun to build yours. I'm super excited to see it, loaded up with birds. And
can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think what my first trip will be with it. We'll see. We'll see what we got. Maybe I don't know. Maybe back to bluegrass. Maybe.
Yeah, do it.
Or back to Nebraska. Try my luck in Nebraska again.
Yeah,
we'll see if it goes better this time.
Yeah, and I hope people don't baby these. I hope that they put them through the ringer. Like
totally
be rough with them. Anytime you do a custom color, I'll go get like a spray can of that color.
Yeah, that's nice.
Matched.
Little touch ups.
Yep. So be hard on them and touch them up, and when things break, let me know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll send you replacement parts.
Yeah.
So
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Love his customer service. That's the name of the game. I feel with good companies that I like working with. I'm sure same for you, but customer service is huge.
It really
huge
is.
Part.
You could have the best product in the world, but if you don't,
if you can't get a hold of the company, first off, that's first bad news.
Right.
So,
but everybody wants to do business with somebody that they feel like they could be friends with.
Yeah.
So that's the name of the game. Is like
totally.
From the first time somebody calls me, it's like, sweet. What kind of dogs do you have? Like, what are you hunting? Like, where are you at? Like, let's get to know each other, and then, okay, now I kind of see like what your needs are. Let's talk what you're looking for. Yeah, absolutely. So. Would, again, best process for someone to get a box, if they want a custom box, the best way to reach out to you directly, go through the website? What's that look like? Yeah, you can email me. There's the email on the Instagram page or the website. I can't remember. But you can email me. You can DM me on Instagram. And then my phone number, I think, is on there as well. Okay. Feel free to call or text. Sweet. So that's awesome. That's just my personal cell phone. Yeah, so love it. It's going to go right to you. Send it to all the spammers. We're going to test it out right now. Yeah. Well, Ben, this has been awesome. We have a couple more things as we kind of wrap up here. I love asking a couple questions to each guest, and as we kind of close this episode out. So thinking about the rookie upland hunter out there, maybe someone who is heading into their first season. What's a piece of advice that you would give them as they head into their first season, 2022? That's a great one. It sounds super corny, and it sounds like I'm dismissing it, but just have fun. Like, it would almost be robbing them of the experience of finding how to hunt if you just told them. Sure. If you told them what to look for specifically or what side of the face to hunt. But the big thing is if you're interested in it, just go have fun. Nothing beats just boots on the ground. Just go out and walk. Yeah. Take your dog out, find a spot, see what happens. Totally. And then I guess the one piece of information would be to journal, to write stuff down. Yeah, you mentioned you're doing this past year, right? Yeah, and that was actually way more beneficial than I thought it would be. Nice. It started out as mostly just a way for me to track like what birds we saw and how many miles we did, but I started writing down just different notes, what side of the mountain I was facing or hunting on, or what foliage I was seeing, what kind of habitat I was in, whether we saw stuff or not. Sure. Your temperature, weather, hot dog work, elevation. Like that. Yeah. And now I'm curious, are you doing that like right when you get back to the truck or when you get home that night, a couple of days later? What's been what's worked? Yeah. So typically when I get back to the truck, I will take a picture with my phone of the Garmin showing how many miles we did. That way, if I forget and I clear it, I at least have that. And then most of the stuff I remember. So even if it's a couple days, I remember where I was hunting. I remember, I can pull it up on Onyx and see what the elevation was. I can see what side of the mountain we were hunting. And, obviously I'll remember if we saw birds or not. Sure. So, yeah. That'll stand out in your mind. Yeah. Right? That's good. No, that's good, man. I like that. That's not corny at all. I think having fun, I think, I'm guilty of it too sometimes. Like, almost taking it too serious sometimes. Right. Like, you get so in the zone, like, I didn't see birds, and you get frustrated. Like, having fun with it too. Like, that's why we started it all too. So,
I love that. All right, brother. A couple rapid fire questions as we close this thing up, and we'll go from there. All right.
Sweet.
Cool. All right. First one, Ben. For you, what came first, the dog, the gun, or the bird?
Oh, for sure the dog.
Dog. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what sucked you in.
Yeah. I wanted a dog, and it was a way to justify it. It was going to be a hunting dog.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy sell. Ben, what gun are you carrying into the field or on the mountain, and why?
I don't know why, but I've always gravitated towards Winchesters.
Okay.
So all my shotguns, pumps, semis, they're all Winchesters.
Okay. Nice.
Except I did pick up a CZ over under this year.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, Winchester.
Okay. Is that your first over under the season?
It is.
Okay.
Yep. And it is a learning curve.
Okay.
It is not the same.
I bet for sure. That's, I mean, they're fun. They're fun once you get used to
so
them.
cool.
Cause I just got my first over under 3 years ago. So I haven't been shooting them that long either. And yeah, it was like, oh wait, this is different. It just feels different.
How do you aim? Where you? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was almost like a mental thing, not having that third shell.
Yes.
And now it's fine. I'm like,
Right.
well, I'd love just having 2 shells. But like at first, that was such a mental, like, oh, this is such a bummer. I only have 2 shells. Like, it's really not that big of a deal.
Right.
I enjoy it. But all right. Favorite dog breed besides the ones you own?
Yes. All of them. I tell my wife, I'm like, let's just move to the country and we'll get all the dogs.
Just
all
every
of them.
every one of them. Kind of like a Noah's Ark type thing, or 2 of each, or
Like 100 of each. I really like Gordon setters. I think those look super cool.
okay.
And then I've always had a soft spot for Cocker Spaniels. So that one might be our next dog.
I was going to ask, which out of those 2, which do you foresee yourself owning next? And
Yeah, the Cocker.
yeah,
Yeah, for
those
sure.
things are freaking cool.
They're so
I could fit
fun.
like 3 of them in those compartments.
Yeah, especially so Fetching Feathers, Anthony.
Yeah.
He's got that little
Yeah, rowdy dog.
yeah.
Yeah.
He posts pictures of that dog all the time and I'm like, gosh dang.
It's a cool dog.
I need to just drive out there and steal that dog.
Anthony, if you're listening, don't worry. I'll send Ben on his way back
yeah.
to Utah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, those are cool dogs.
I like
The
those dogs a lot.
Cocker craze, they call it right now.
Yeah.
It's someone posted something the other day. They're like the cutest, oh gosh, what's the term? Like fad right now in Upland hunting is like a
right.
cocker right now.
Is it? Oh,
It's just like this. They're cool though. I
Yeah.
mean, they're like all the rage right now. And
They're so cool.
they're a cool dog, kind of a versatile dog too. So
Yeah.
a couple quick ones here. Most clays you've ever hit in a row.
Ooh. Okay, that's a tough one. If this is the first year that I've actually done like sporting clays,
Okay.
like gone to a like a course.
Sure.
And that had a huge learning curve.
Oh, sure.
So I think like the most I'd ever hit consecutively in that is like 6.
Okay. Hey, not bad.
And that's a lie because it's probably 1.
At least you're honest about it.
Yeah. But if we're just talking like just those little red hand throwers, when we were in high school, me and my buddy, we would skip school like all the time. Like I got in trouble.
Like, how much are we talking?
So my junior year, towards the end of the year, I got pulled into the principal's office and they were like, "You've missed more school than you've attended."
Oh gosh. Uh-oh.
And I was like, sweet.
Oh, awesome.
That's a win. No, but when we were seniors, we used to go sell plasma. So we'd go skip school. We'd go sell plasma. And at the time, you could get like $50.
Okay.
Like you go sell your plasma for $50. And then me and my buddy would go both do it. So we'd get $100. And we'd go buy 100 shells and we'd buy a box of clays. And we'd drive out
Get
to
all the math
desert.
worked out.
Yeah. And we did that so often. And it became so second nature that we got up to like, you'd hit 98 out of 100 because like you just couldn't put enough variance in
It was
throwing
just
those
so
clays.
consistent.
Yeah. And then we started to like figure out that if you turned the thrower upside down or did it backwards or, you did like a big overhand throw or turn the clays upside down, you could start to get things a little bit crazier and stuff like that. But yeah, realistically, probably like 10 in a row.
Yeah. I love it. Love it, man. All right. This is a little curveball question I'm going to throw you. Okay. Thinking about your dog boxes.
Yeah.
What is one feature that you could not live without? One component, one thing about this dog box. If you had to keep it, what would it be?
The floodlights.
Floodlights.
I use those all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. It started out as just like hey, let's add a feature.
Yeah.
But that turned into like,
You're using it a lot.
This is what I use the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from the actual compartment to hold your dog, that's the feature that I use the most.
Love it. Love it. 2 more here.
Yeah.
Fantasy hunt. Where at, what bird, with who, and you could only bring 1 dog.
Oh, Alaska ptarmigan. That's been on the list for years.
Okay.
And then probably my wife.
Okay.
I don't know if she'd ever agree to it,
But hey.
but if I got my fantasy hunt, she would come.
Okay.
You know, kicking and screaming, she'd come.
Wait, this is your fantasy hunt.
Yeah.
Not hers.
Don't ruin my trip.
And then you can only bring 1 dog.
Probably Otto, my dog, my male.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I feel bad for the younger one though.
Yeah. She's got to earn it.
Yeah. Show me something.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Beverage of choice after a hunt.
The white Red Bull.
White. Is that what that is right there?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I've never even seen one of those.
They're the best.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What makes them so good?
I don't know. The best. I know Matt was talking about his rock stars.
Yeah.
And like, that's just trash. That's trash, Matt.
Hey, we don't want to start any fights here. Okay. let's keep it, let's keep it G. I mean, I'd be curious. I haven't had a Red Bull in probably 6 or 7 years.
Yeah,
but
don't start.
Yeah, no, I won't.
Not
I
good
just
for you.
go with my black coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no argument that they're not good for you.
Oh, 100%. No, I'm sure coffee isn't either. It's all going to give us cancer.
Coffee's way more healthy than a Red Bull. That's for sure. There's no argument there.
Probably.
But yeah, that's my crack.
Oh, that's awesome.
My drug of choice.
That's what got you out here so quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Love it. Well, Ben, this has been a blast, man. I appreciate you. It's been so much fun getting to know you in this setting here during the podcast, but also just over the last several months. I know you are a supporter of the podcast, so thank you for that, and just your continued support of the show, and just for carving out some time to bring this box out here and sit down with me for a little bit.
Dude, happy. I have been a huge fan of your podcast since like episode 3 or something. Like,
That's awesome.
I love everything you're doing. I love the idea of like the Upland rookie, the fact that like no matter how much experience you always have something to learn. But then the flip side to that is there's always somebody else that's starting, and you know, there's enough birds for everyone. There's enough, you know, cover to go around. So, you know, everyone has to start somewhere. Yeah. But yeah, I've loved your podcast. I love everything you're doing. Everything you stand for. So,
well, thank you.
Good dude.
I appreciate that, man. All right. Last thing, kind of what's the best way for people to connect with you, learn more about the boxes, stay in touch, all that good stuff?
Yeah. We try to be pretty active on social media. So we have the Instagram, BPro Kennels, the website, bprokennels.com. And then from there, you can get my email or my cell phone. Feel free to call, text, email, whatever's easier. If I don't get back to you, leave a voicemail. I'll get right back to you.
Cool.
But yeah.
Okay.
However you want to reach
easy.
out.
Yeah. We are in 2022, so it's pretty easy to find someone these days.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I know we got an annoying fly here in my garage, so we're trying to dodge this massive thing. But all right, brother. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks for sitting down with us.
Thanks, man.
And that's a wrap of episode 62 with Ben Proctor of BPro Kennels. Ben, thank you so much for your time, man. Thank you so much for driving that box all the way out to Denver for me. Man, you're making some badass dog boxes, and the attention to the detail and quality that you've put in to these boxes, it shows, man. It shows in what you've built, and it's something you should be proud of. Thanks for your support and friendship. Thanks for your support of the podcast. It's meant a lot to me, and I've really, really enjoyed it, man. So thank you. All right, guys, that's pretty much everything for today. Be sure to share the episode with a friend on social media. Tag the Upland Rookie Podcast. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Would love to kind of get to that 200 mark here. We're pretty close. I haven't looked in a little while. We'll need to see where we're at, but we'll do some kind of cool giveaway once we hit 200 reviews on Apple Podcast. Check out YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. And that's about it, guys. Get your hat orders in. If you would like an Upland Rookie hat, just shoot me a message or email, and then we'll work out the details from there. Other than that, I think that's about everything, guys. Get Patreon. We got another month of Patreon giveaways happening. So stay tuned for that. Get signed up for $5 a month. If you just want to support the show, awesome. If you're in it for the prizes and giveaways, awesome as well. So whatever works for you. I'm not offended either way. So, all right, guys, I think that's about it. Hope everyone's doing well, having a great start to your fall. And until next time, put some miles on those boots and follow your favorite bird dog. Take care.